This is an electric power steering pump out of a 2010 Volvo S40, and I'm going to put it in my 2013 Subaru WRX. Alright guys, so with the Volvo electric power steering pump going in, the first thing we're going to do is drain the old power steering fluid out of everything and then rip out the entire power steering system with everything except for the rack. So we're going to go ahead and get started on that. Alright, so we got the power steering fluid drained out, mostly. So now we're going to take out the alternator, all these brackets, power steering pump lines, all that, just get everything ripped out. So, alright, got all the stuff out, all the accessories. Look how much room is in there. It honestly looks kind of weird. But so we're going to hook up our alternator relocation kit. I do have a lightweight Grimspeed crank pulley I'm going to put on there. And then I am going to throw a new radiator hose because this one got sliced by the alternator being so close to it, which is nice that the alternator will be moved over so it won't happen again. But yeah, making progress. Got the reservoir out. A lot of weight actually. It's probably a good 15-20 pounds so far. Alright, so got everything buttoned back up. Got the Grimspeed crank pulley on there. Got the Fuji Racing alternator relocation kit on there. Had to bend the dipstick over just a touch, but I think my dipstick might have been bent over too far to the left. Anyway, it looks really weird with nothing being there, but I kind of like it. Wide open, plenty of room to work on anything. Alright, so I got the pump here. This pump is actually no good. Yes, my luck is that bad, but because I have this pump here and I'm waiting on the other pump, I decided to use this one to mock up the mounting bracket that I'm making. I just got some 8mm bolts through the bushings, and then I'm just going to essentially weld these brackets on here, and I'm going to mount those brackets into the car. So everything should be, you know, bolted in from that point. So let me get these welded up, making this as simple as possible. Alright, so here's my bracket. Looks like shit, but it'll work. Drop the pump one in there. Oh shit. Oh yeah, it's flexing big time, but that'll work. Look man, it's just gotta work, that's all. This is gonna go on the frame rail in the trunk, and this is gonna go down in the spare tire well. I'm no professional welder, but they'll do. Look at that, it fits in there like a glove. These fittings on here, they're just temporary, but because it's full of fluid, I don't want to spill it, but look, that's perfect. Literally does not get much better than that. Alright, so this is my power steering pump control module. It's a standalone unit that I ordered from Portugal, I believe is where it shipped from. A company called Bruno Steering makes this. It's really cool. All you do is you hook up a power and ground wire, key on power. This plugs into the power steering pump. This is the control module. And this is a GPS unit that determines vehicle speed. And the way it works is when you're not moving, it's going to command the pump for 100% speed. And then once you're going highway speed, it's going to be commanding the minimum speed. So it's really cool that you can actually use the pump the way it was intended to, almost like an OEM setup, as opposed to just running it in limp mode, which is what a lot of people do. So I'm installing this now. Alright, so I got the wire tucked for the GPS sensor, for the speed sensor. Comes all the way down, comes out right here. And then the control module, it's not mounted up yet, but I'm just going to put some double-sided tape with some Velcro. I like that because it'll stick, and then you could pull it off if you need to. Especially since the adjustment is inside, it'll be nice to be able to access the underside of it if need be. Alright, so here's the power wire. That's 8 gauge. Alright, so all the wiring's hooked up. Got the connector going to the controller with the CAN bus lines and the key on line, and then you got the big wires going to the 80 amp circuit breaker into the negative battery terminal. So that's all done. All we gotta do now is run the hydraulic lines. First things first, we're gonna drill a hole for a bulkhead for the lines to go through, because obviously we need them to go to the underside of the car. So we're gonna do that now. Alright, so we looked under the car, and this is where we're going to have our bulkheads go through, right here and right here. It's going to be a little tight with all the stuff in there, but that'll be alright. There's a lot of room underneath it here between the body and the tank, so that's why we chose to do it there. So we're going to center punch it and then start drilling. Alright, so we got the bulkhead fittings in there. They're going through to the underside. You can see. Nah, you can't see, but whatever. So we're gonna run the lines to the pump, which I just took out to, you know, measure and everything. I'm gonna show you how I'm gonna make the line, and then we're gonna connect the lines from the other side of those to the rack. Alright, so on the pump side of things, on the return, we're just gonna put a little 3/8 rubber hose on there and run that all the way to the rack. But on the pressure side, you need to get a 16 by 1.5 power steering fitting, and the O-ring will seat inside of there. So that's all you need, and then that'll adapt it to a -6 AN. So we're gonna put that on there and get that hooked up, and then start making the lines for it. Alright, I got the lines hooked up to the bulkheads. Gonna have to fasten those down because they're pretty loose right now, but this is just getting it, you know, installed. This part's kind of tricky. It's hard to record and do it because it requires both of us and both hands to make these lines, but you'll get the idea if you watch a video how to make the hose ends fit onto the hose. So now we're going to go underneath the car and run the hoses to the rack. Alright guys, so this part was not easy. On the rack I have a 3/8 hard line that I bent to a 90 with the original flare nut on there, and the hard line has an inverted flare like a brake line, double flare, and then that is a 14 by 1.5 inverted flare fitting to a -6, and then we got a 90-degree -6. I had to go to a hard line right here so it wouldn't get crushed by these divots. Got it, you know, I've got the AN line clamped in there good with cushion clamps. It's really tight right here. It's not really touching the tank, but it's very close, so I put some rubber on there just in case. So that looks good. And then, yeah, so that's how I did it. Alright, so the pump is running. You should be able to hear it. For some reason the GPS controller wasn't working, so I had to just put power. There are a few things I still need to figure out, but right now it's working. Got all the air out. You know, so we got a couple kinks to figure out, you know, smooth the rough edges, but for now it's working. So I'll probably make another video after I get all the little things figured out, but for now it's in, it's working, everything should be good to go.